Hello. I thought I'd make another video about this ongoing situation that we all find ourselves living in at the moment. What a shock, eh? Still shocking. I'm still finding that it shocks me every few minutes, actually. Um, I find that if my mind goes somewhere else, and like a couple of times we've watched something, we watched a film the other night, dreadful it was, but anyway, we watched it, and it finished, and then it suddenly hits you again. And we were saying, is it worse actually to take yourself away from it because then you come back and it hits you harder than if you hadn't moved away from it? It's it's such a strange and unusual thing. It feels to me like it really is kind of shaking the foundations of reality, because the reality that we've known, that we've all lived in, where things just run the way that they run, and we all do the things that we do the way that we do them, and everything is available to us whenever we want it, and the way that it's been, that is now broken. And I personally feel like it's just really shaking what sense of reality I had left of this being a real thing, that life as we know it as being a more than a story. But then it's made me realize that it isn't. It's still a dream in a dream. And from one perspective I know that, but the human mind doesn't know that. And it's very interesting seeing how the different parts of the mind react to something like this, and how different parts of the psyche come out. And I think we all pretty much have the same. Like, everyone seems to be having that thing at the moment where they're kind of quite, most people anyway, quite kind of right. Okay, so what's happening? Watching for the information, and a sort of calmness behind everything. But then every now and again, the kind of feeling of panic or oh my God comes in. I find that that happens quite a lot more than anything. It's just utter disbelief just pops in, and you end up going, wow, oh my God, this is crazy. And yeah, it's just, we found that we've gone from, all of us individually, not at the same time, have all had feelings of like real kind of disbelief and poco doom, as we call it. And then, like the other night, we all just got hysterics, laughter, just couldn't stop laughing about stupid things. But I think it's like all this energy is in our bodies, because usually when you're faced with something threatening, um, and we haven't had that in our lifetimes, and it hasn't sort of been around in the environment we live in. Not saying it's not happening in other places in the world, because it is, but we've not had that sort of threat. And normally what happens is it's like lions coming, you see lion, you react to lion, you deal with the lion, you either run away or you fight lion or you do whatever, and then it's gone. But this threat that we're facing now, it's like it's in the air, isn't it? It's all around us. And so it seems that people are becoming ready to fight, but there's nothing to fight. So it's like there's a lot of people feeling anger and real frustration, especially because you're stuck in. So it's like the warrior in you, not the worrier, the warrior, I'm going to get it kind of warrior, is like, right, on alert, ready to go, but there's actually nothing to fight. And so all that energy that's inside hasn't got anywhere to go. And so I think it's coming out in people in different ways. Like, speaking to people, a lot of people are having trouble sleeping. And it's funny actually, because I've always been somebody who takes ages to drop off to sleep. But the last week or so, I find that by the time it comes to come to bed, I'm absolutely shattered and I'm just going to sleep. But then in the morning, the first time you wake up, because like that thing where you wake up and you sort of drift a bit and you go in and out of sleep, or I found that as soon as I wake up, it suddenly goes, oh my God, that's happening. And then there's wide awakeness, because the part that the danger monitor, as soon as there's consciousness, it's in the air. It's like it comes out and it's like, right, got to keep an eye on everything. Got to make sure that there's safeness. But the thing is, I've said to several people now, nothing bad is happening to any of us right now. But it's like we're in the UK, it feels like we're on the cusp of the explosion. It's about to just really kick off. And, none of us know whether, if we get it, whether there's going to be enough equipment because like it seems that some people get it and they don't even know they've had it. Other people feel a bit rough. Other people feel like they've got terrible flu, and then other people it seems to really go into the lungs, and you do need a ventilator. And so it's that worry of whether or not there is enough of those for people. And because of the way that it's been dealt with in this country, and it seems the same in America, where the governments decided that profit was more important than people, that our responses have been slow, and we've got people that aren't really capable and that competent to run a country running the country. It's not their fault. We put them there because people wanted the people that had lots wanted to keep everything they had and not share it out. They were the ones that were saying that they would do that. And so what we've ended up with is a group of people in charge of the country who shouldn't be. They're not actually capable of it because still they're putting profit before people. And at this time, profit's got to go out the window and people have to come first. But that's just not the way that they think. It's like the British public have done this to themselves, in as much as that's who we put in power. But yeah, I think we're going to live to regret that, or some of us will live to regret it, and some of us won't. So I don't think that helps the nation when you feel that the people that are in charge of deciding what happens are incompetent. That's not it's not great. So that doesn't help. I think if you live in one of the countries where you feel that the people in charge have got your best interest at heart, or that the interest of the people, I think that probably helps. But in the UK and I think in America, I mean, Trump's obviously gone completely nuts, hasn't he? I mean, he was already nuts, but now he's even more nuts, or his nutsness is just showing more. I don't know. But it's like the other night when they announced on the British news at 9:30 that the country was going into lockdown. We knew it was coming. We'd known it was coming for days, and we actually wanted them to get on with it because so many people weren't taking any notice. We were thinking, come on, you've got to do this. But we sat there. We went up to my son's room because we don't have a telly. We don't watch telly, but my son's got one. And so we went up there and we sat there. I took up a tray of tea and we sat around, the three of us, watching this announcement happen. And I sat there and I'm thinking, am I dreaming? Is this just like, am I in a lucid dream? And I did the thing of checking my hands to make sure that they weren't weird, because it was so bizarre that this is actually happening, that the world, they're talking about the sort of thing that you see in a movie at the beginning of movies when, that you see the pandemic happening, or the disaster, the zombies coming, whatever. But it's actually happening for real. And then you've got Boris Johnson sat there, who a couple of years ago, if somebody had said he'd be Prime Minister, you wouldn't have believed it, because everyone knows that he's a bit of a dick. Yeah, he is the Prime Minister. He's there reading off an auto cue, not particularly well, no connection really to the people. He's just reading what he's been told to read. And then all these different other experts coming on who all have this sort of weirdness about them. And I was thinking, I felt like I was in some kind of weird nightmare and I was going to wake up any minute, and then I'd be going, I had the funniest dream last night. You won't believe what happened. But it's not. It's actually happening. But it does make you realise that it isn't real. On another level, it is like this is a lucid dream. It's a dream within a dream. And the dream is becoming more visible because the reality we know is breaking down. And so I think a lot of people are in that place where they keep having little semi waking ups, because it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The foundation of the world is being rocked, and it is an excellent time to see through the facade. But at the same time, we're all living it, aren't we? We're all living in this strange, just strange. It's just so strange. Like you speak to your friends and family, and like my brother, he's in his mid-50s. He works for a big supermarket, and he's been around people every day, and he's frontline. And I've got friends that are nurses and things. My partner's sister, she's working in a hospital, and she's not even going home now. She's just sleeping there as well. It's mad. It's just so crazy, that everything, things that you just take for granted, your family and your friends and what's normal, is just not normal anymore. But all we can do is to try and stay present with ourselves And it is going to bring up stuff. It's going to bring up our fear. It's going to bring up our ability to cope. Another thing I've noticed is lots of people that I know that suffer from things like anxiety. Now this has happened, they seem less anxious than they did before, which is unusual, isn't it? But what I'm putting it down to is that all of the anxiety was kind of pushed, sort of faced inwards, or it was about stuff, and now it's like there's actually something solid to put it on, and people seem to be better having this massive thing happening with their anxiety than they were without it. It's a very interesting time just seeing how the psyche of people work. How I've noticed you've got some people that are kind of like just in denial, and they're the ones that will still be going around doing their normal job. It's because it's so big for them that they're used to just being able to do what they want. They don't like being told what to do. They don't like being told what they can and can't do something. They don't like a virus coming in and breaking their world, and so they just completely deny that it's happening, and not bothered. You get that kind of attitude. Yeah, well, I don't care. I'm not bothered. If you get it, you get it. You know, that sort of, which is, but you can tell it's fear. It's all fear. All the responses that people are having are fear based. It's just that people respond in different ways. You know, you've got the angry people, you've got the frightened people, you've got the ones that, well, I won't be told what to do people, the people that are just completely in denial that it'll all be fine in a fortnight. I've seen that quite a lot. People going, oh, we'll all be allowed out again in 2 weeks' time. You know, that isn't happening. This could go on for a year at least. This could go on for many years, because even if it dies down now, it's coming back, because that's just the way these things work. And yeah, we've all just got to suck it up and stay in. On the positive note, I mean, being an introvert, that doesn't really bother me. And we feel very lucky that we moved a few weeks ago. We moved just before this kicked off. We'd been literally in this house about 2 weeks. And we've got a nice big garden with plenty of room. So it feels like there's different places around the garden that you can go, which makes you feel like you're in a different environment. And the sun's been shining for the last couple of days, which for me is, well, for everybody, but for me it feels pretty amazing that you can actually sit out and feel sun on your face, because having lived in Spain for all those years where you get the sun on your face every day, and I've been in England now since November, doesn't happen here very often, but it feels now like it's happening. Spring is here, and yeah, it's quiet, but you can hear children and birds, and but you can't hear hardly any traffic, and it's, yeah, it's very strange, isn't it? But we've all just got to keep our keep our chins up and watch what our minds are doing, watch how they react, watch what comes out in each of us. You know, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of domestic violence and things in the world going on, because you know there's a lot of people that have got this kind of fear thing going on, which normally, you know, in normal situations where you have that, then you go and have a battle, but there's nowhere to battle in. You're stuck at home, and so people will be taking it out on those around them, which is a terrible shame, but it's going to happen. I think what this is going to do is just show up all the areas in life where we need to work on ourselves, and the way that we've developed society. It certainly is showing up the discrepancies, and you know, the fact that some people, if they don't go to work, literally get nothing, and you know, things like that. It's going to be massive. It's going to be a huge change to the world, and some of us won't make it through that. But at the end of it, I'm hoping. The hope is that this had to break. The world, the way it was going, had to break, because it couldn't go on like that. And so hopefully by the end of it, we will all realise what's important and what isn't, because at the end of the day, what's important is how we love and care for each other. Nothing else really matters, does it? You know, things like, I keep seeing adverts for things here and there of like shoes, or you see an advert for a watch. Like I remember watching telly a while ago, someone put the telly on at Christmas, and all the adverts were about how if you have um, if you have this watch, God, you'll be brilliant. If only you had that aftershave or that perfume, your life would be so much better. And look at that coat. If you had that coat, think of how great everyone would think you were. But now you realise that none of that has any relevance at all. None of that stuff. It's all really unimportant, isn't it? You know, what we look like, where we've been, where we're going, what we've got means nothing. The only thing that matters really is love, and loving each other and being there for each other and helping people and pulling together. And we've needed that. And this is how it's come to us, for us to do that, to realise the importance of life, which is support and love. So yeah, I'm going to go and take my dog out for our daily exercise. He don't give a shit, my dog. He's loving it. He's actually loving it. He's get people. Sun's out. He's lying outside, panting his little face off all day, running up to the gate to have a go at anyone that has the effrontery to walk past. And yeah, he's loving the fact that everyone's around, and yeah, we're going to go out for a walk. And I noticed the other day I was walking through the woods, and it's like magic, because all of the blossoms out, and all of the new leaves are coming on the trees, and some of the trees are only kind of come up to sort of here, and with these tiny little green leaves and these lovely bits of blossom everywhere, and it's just all the spring flowers. There's wild garlic and daffodils growing everywhere, and it's just magical. And they're the things that we have to breathe in. Have to breathe in the fact that these real things of life, are still there, and you know, they're far more important than a nice new handbag or a pair of shoes, or you know, love, nature, those things. They're things that matter. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you, and comment, contact me, whatever you like, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.